Greetings from chess.com. Today is the birthday of Indian superstar Grandmaster Sasikiran Krishnan, and it is my pleasure to acquaint you all with some of his accomplishments and also share best moments from his games. So, Grandmaster Sasikiran was born in 1981 in Madras, which is now Chennai. He studied in Modern Senior Secondary School at Nanganallur, Chennai. I have a very interesting story to tell you. That is the first time I actually saw him. I played a tournament called the Modern Senior Secondary Rating Tournament, which was quite a regular event every August, and they used to host this event only for school students. And I saw him there for the first time when he was there at the prize giving, and the second time I saw him was when he came as a chief guest to one of the prize giving ceremonies in Velamal school where I studied, and he gave a very useful tip there, and I would like to share that with all of you. He shared that after the game, it's a good idea to come back home, set the clock at the same time. If you played a classical game, then set the clock according to the classical time format with 90 plus 30 and play through the game again as if you were playing the tournament, and see if you are able to spot something new or something or if you're able to see some new idea that did not cross your mind during the game, and then note them down, and then compare the analysis and check it with your coach or with your trainer or a friend or an engine. And that way he said that it's a good idea to extract the most from the games you have played, and I really like that idea. It's a great advice, I thought. So thank you, Anna, for that. Coming back to Sasikiran's journey, so he won the Asian Juniors in 1999, and he also won the Indian Championship many times. He also fulfilled the requirements for the GM title in Commonwealth 2000. So he became India's fifth Grandmaster then. And then he also won the national event in Jalgaon, which was 2013. And then he was bestowed with this Arjuna Award in 2002, and he has played 100 Olympiad classical games. So that means he has represented India in a lot of events, in a lot of Olympiads, and he also won the individual silver medal in the Tromsø Olympiad and also helped the team to win the bronze medal in the event. And then he has a special interest in correspondence chess, and he also has this title of Senior International Correspondence Chess Master, which he attained in 2016. So the other day when he was on the stream, he also talked about how he plays correspondence games and how that keeps him occupied and has something to offer when it comes to chess. So he has around 50 games still pending in league, and that's I think a great number. And he's probably the only Indian grandmaster who is very much involved in correspondence chess with such consistency. And he has also worked as a second to Vishwanathan Anand in 2013. And then he's the second Indian to reach the Elo rating of 2700. And recently he was part of the Asian Nations Cup Indian team, and he backed the second position. He backed silver in the individual as well as the team got silver. And then a few days back he won the Rilton Winners Cup, and he also discussed some of his games with us in the stream, and that was a great learning experience for me. He also explains the reason behind some of his moves and also takes you through some of the post-match game analysis. So it's a very instructive stream. Do watch it. And now he works in ONGC, and he's been working with ONGC. He's been employed by ONGC for many years now. And when he was on the stream, he also shared his 3 non-favorite chess books. I'm going to pull that up for you. So his 3 favorite non-chess books are Atomic Habits, Deep Work, and some of the Jim Corbett books. And he also shared an interesting story about his chess.com username, G3God. So I'm going to play that video for all of you. Do watch. That I really like your username on chess.com, which is G3God.
That has a slight backdrop, yeah, because I think it was probably 2010, I believe, yeah, and this we are all playing the World Team Championship, and this was myself, Hari, Ganguly, Adiban, Arun Prasad, and Gopal, I think. Okay. Yeah, I think the 6th person was Yeah, so those days there were 6 players in the World Team Championship, and the thing was like I was practically playing G3 against everything. I mean, after D4 knight f6, I was, for instance, King's Indian. I used to play the G3 system with this Fianchetto, and for Nimzo Indian, I would play this Catalan on G3, and so. It was very, by a strange coincidence, also, I think I played G3 against Aronian and beat him in this tournament. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, this was a slab, but I still played G3. Yeah. So it was here, I think, Sakis, Lev Sakis, he was the coach of the Indian team. And he mentioned that, I mean, after the game, you are like a G3 god. Guy, he gave me this nickname, and everybody started calling me G3 god. So it's kind of this name stuck. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So, I like it.
So it is from I think from 2010. I think that game name. Okay, I mean it's a pleasant memory. Yeah, like okay, I mean general, yes, especially like when you manage to beat some strong players and
yeah.
This name, so this name kind of stuck, yeah, and it's okay. I managed to keep it as my nickname here for.
Yeah, it is very appropriate. So thank you. And interesting, isn't it? Now let's come to the chess side of it. I have this position from his game against Nisipiano. So in this position, he played bishop to h6. His opponent had played f3, so he played bishop to h6. And after queen d2, and now after queen d7, white played rook to a5, and then black played queen e6, attacking the pawn on e3. And it's quite awkward that white has to play king f2 to protect the pawn. And I think this is a moment in which you must stop and see what you would do as black. A very instructive moment. Here, Grandmaster Sasikiran played pawn to g5. So he wants to open the king's position, and he has a very deep idea in mind. After g5, he plays g4, and then after knight d3, he plays g takes f3, g takes f3, and plays bishop takes d3 first. And after bishop takes d3, he reveals his idea with king h8. Now he wants to go rook g8 and occupy this g2 square. And he also has queen h3 on the cards, so that's his main plan. His opponent played king e2, and after rook g8, white played rook takes a8, and after rook takes a8, bishop b1, he again plays rook g8 because he wants to come here. Now if you're considering moves like rook f2, black has rook g1. And if you play king f2, then black has a very nice tactic here. I hope you are able to spot CCTP always. Bishop takes e3 check. After queen takes e3, there is rook g2. So in this position, king f2 is not possible, rook f2 is not possible. His opponent plays king d1, and then he gave up this pawn. So after he won the pawn, he got rook g1, even the rooks got exchanged, and then he went on to win this game. So that was his nice moment against Nisipiano. The next game I have is against Ray Robson, in which he was white. You can see that black has played bishop c8, he's attacking the rook. And in this position, Sasikiran Anna doesn't move his rook. I really like the move he played. This is a strong move. So I would say that it's not so easy to spot this. More than the move, I think the idea behind that move is difficult to spot. So here he played queen to f7. You might be wondering why is he giving the rook here, because after bishop d7, the bishop is supporting the rook, and if you take back with queen d7, then black has at least knight f6 followed by rook d8, and he has at least got a decent compensation in return. But after bishop into d7, the point is a very nice move taking into account black's back rank problem. He plays rook e1, and now after rook g8, bishop is hanging, so he just takes it. But if you're wondering about move like rook d8, no, I won't play queen d7, I'll play queen e7, and now no matter where the rook goes, it's all the bishop is lost. So if you play rook e8, of course queen takes e8, and any other move you can just simply take the bishop. So in the game, Robson Ray played rook g8, and after queen d7, knight takes f2, he played rook e8, threatening mate again with rook takes e8 and queen e8. So black has to do something about his back rank. All his pieces are stuck on the king side right now, so he has to create a luft for his king. So h5, and then after rook takes e8, king takes e8, he played queen e8 check, and then this forcing continuation ensures that white has a win. This is very important to play f6 and threaten this f7, and after knight g4, queen e4, he got f7, and then this f8 queen is coming. Bishop into g3 happened, but f8 queen, and there's nothing that black could do. If you take bishop takes f4, there is queen takes f4. If you play queen h2 check, then white can simply play king d3, and if you go knight f2 check, white can go king d4, and there's no danger at all. He can even take queen takes c5 here. So that was his win against Robson Ray. And then I'm coming to my final pick, which is his game against Artemiev. So in this position, it makes sense to attack h7. So he played queen h3, and after h6, he used the hook and played pawn to g5. The point is, after fg5, he came up with a very nice move. Probably one of the best moves by an Indian chess player, I would say. Take a moment to see what you would do as white. Okay, I'm going to reveal the move now. It is rook d7. The point is, if the queen moves, you can simply take the pawn on g7. So knight d7 is obvious, and after knight takes d7, there is knight takes h6 check. If the king goes to f8, there is knight e6 check. So g8 is normal, and after g8 there is queen e6 check, and then after king g7 there is queen takes h6 check. The king hunt begins, and after king f7 there is queen e6 check, and after king g7 he plays queen e7, and then after king g6 he brings the queen via h7, and then knight d7 check, and then after king e6 his opponent allowed mate with the king in the center with queen g6. And then if the king goes to e7, there is rook h7 followed by mate here. So his opponent played king to d5, and now, believe it or not, it's mate in 1 with rook d1. The king has nowhere to go. So here also you see that 3 pieces are helping white to deliver the checkmate. As Bent Larsen once said, 3 pieces is a mate. Amazing, isn't it? So that was those were some of the best moments which I had picked from the games of Sasikiran Krishnan. So I would like to take this opportunity to wish Sasikiran Anna happy birthday. May your year be filled with joy and happiness. And thank you for coming on our stream the other day. And thank you, viewers. I hope you liked this video. We'll be back with another one soon. Until then, take care. Bye bye.